All right, let's dive into a pretty wild idea. What if our entire economy wasn't based on promises from a central bank, but on the fundamental, unchangeable laws of physics? Seriously, what if your bank account was, quite literally, a battery? Just think about that for a second. We're not talking about inflation slowly eating away at your savings over decades. We're talking about a physical property, almost like radioactive decay, where your digital cash loses a set amount of value every single day by design. Imagine a world where hoarding money is just physically impossible. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll see what happens when physics replaces finance. Then, we'll get to know the new currency, the Joule Credit. After that, we dive into the craziest part, the law of constant decay. We'll walk through a day in this new economy, and finally, we'll zoom out and imagine what a world without hoarding might actually look like. Right now, our money works because we all just sort of agree that it does. It's a system built entirely on trust and promises. But in a thermodynamic economy, that trust gets replaced by cold, hard physical reality. Value is tied directly to the ability to do actual work, and that's measured in the most fundamental unit there is, energy. So what is the money in this new system? Well, it's called the Joule Credit, and it's the absolute core of this whole idea, linking currency directly to the energy that powers, well, everything. So the currency is the Joule Credit, or JC for short, and its power is its beautiful simplicity. It's a direct, one-to-one peg. One credit is always worth 1 megajoule of energy. This money is literally created the moment a solar panel soaks up sunlight, or a wind turbine spins. And then when you use that energy, say to power your home or a factory, those credits are burned and removed from the system. Here's the kicker. You can't print energy, so you can't have inflation. Simple as that. Now, in this system, because the energy grid is basically public property, everyone gets a piece of the pie. It's a daily dividend. So based on the real-world energy production of a country like Brazil, every single citizen would wake up to this exact amount deposited in their digital wallet, 34.7 megajoules. But what does that actually mean? And look, this isn't just some pocket change. This universal basic energy dividend is enough to cover your core needs, and then some. We're talking about running your fridge for a whole week, or taking 6 long hot showers. You could drive a good 60 or 70 kilometers in an electric car. It's a genuine safety net, paid for by the sun, the wind, and the rain. Okay, here's where things get really, really interesting. To stop the kind of stagnation that we see in our current economy, this system has a rule inspired by the second law of thermodynamics. It's called the Entropy Fee, and it's designed to do one thing: keep energy, and therefore wealth, in constant flowing motion. Every single day, any Joule credits just sitting there, unused in your digital wallet, decay by 2%. Poof, gone. It evaporates into waste heat, just like how energy naturally dissipates in the real world. Now, this isn't a bug. It's the central feature that makes the whole economy tick. So you're probably asking, why on earth would anyone do this? Now, your first thought might be, wait, this just sounds like hyperinflation. But they're actually polar opposites. Hyperinflation is chaos. It's caused by a monetary choice, printing tons of money, and it makes prices go haywire. The entropy fee, on the other hand, is a predictable physical constant. Prices for goods stay stable because they're always pegged to the real cost of energy. So the incentive isn't to just panic buy junk to get rid of your cash, it's to be smart and convert your decaying liquid energy into durable, useful things. This daily decay creates this really fascinating effect, a natural wealth ceiling. So, with that 34.7 megajoule dividend coming in every day, and that 2% decay happening every day, the absolute maximum amount of liquid currency you can physically hold in your wallet is 1,735 megajoules. Your balance literally cannot grow beyond this point. Physics itself forbids hoarding digital cash.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If your cash is constantly evaporating, how do you save up for something big, like a house, or for retirement? Well, the system forces you to think completely differently. You can't save the promise of wealth. You have to save the wealth itself.
And this is the genius hack. You take your decaying digital credits and you store them as physical energy in a home battery, maybe a tank of green hydrogen, or even just in high-quality, long-lasting goods. The graph shows it perfectly. That red dashed line is the digital-only hoarder. They just flatline at that wealth ceiling. But the green line, that's the smart store. They convert their daily surplus into physical battery storage, allowing their true wealth to keep growing, totally safe from that 2% digital decay.
Okay, so let's bring this down to earth. How would these rules actually change your day-to-day life? Let's follow a regular citizen named Alara and just see how she navigates this world.
So, Alara wakes up and boom, her energy dividend is there. For her commute, she decides to take the faster, more energy-intensive maglev train. Why? Because her credits are decaying anyway. Might as well use them for speed instead of letting them vanish. At lunch, she's shopping for boots. She chooses the locally made pair, not just for style, but because their total energy cost of production is way lower than the imported ones. In the evening, she joins her neighbors in a communal space, a common hearth, to save on heating and lighting. And right before bed, she has a few joules left over. Instead of letting them evaporate, she donates them to a local vertical farm project, making sure they do something useful.
You see, every single decision Alara makes is guided by a completely new kind of logic. The goal isn't to pile up as much money as possible in a bank account anymore. Instead, the smartest, most successful players in this economy are the ones who find the most efficient ways to use, convert, and direct energy to improve the whole system for everyone. So what happens when you build an entire society on this one principle? When hoarding becomes impossible, the very meaning of wealth and power has to change, right? I mean, this table really says it all. You move from a basis of trust to a basis of actual physical work. Inflation through printing money becomes physically impossible. Savings are no longer these stagnant, idle piles of cash. They're forced to be active. And crucially, the wealth gap naturally starts to narrow because you can't just live off the interest from a giant fortune. Entropy will eat it away. To stay wealthy, you must be useful. And that kind of leaves us with this one big final thought. If you can't be rich just by having the biggest number in a bank account, what does being wealthy even mean anymore? Is it owning the most efficient solar panels, having the biggest battery? Or maybe it's being the person who's most clever at turning that decaying energy into lasting value for your community. It's a completely new way of thinking about everything.